Hello and welcome to episode 6 of Things I've Learned from Barry Harris. Today we're going to be discussing Barry's 4 scales of chords. We'll put an emphasis on things to practice on the minor 6 diminished. So he has 4 scale of chords that he wants you to learn. He has major 6 diminished, minor 6 diminished, dominant 7 diminished, dominant 7 flat 5 diminished. So in this instance, we'll just pick the key of G, just because we haven't done anything in the key of G yet. And I'll show you all of them, and I'll just show you a quick example of the chording, and then eventually I'll go back and we'll break down each one, each particular one, major 6 1, minor 6 1, dominant 7 1, and dominant 7 flat 5 1. But anyway, if we look at just a regular major scale, that scale breaks down to these 7 chords: G major 7, A minor 7, B minor 7, C major 7, D 7, E minor 7, F sharp minor 7 flat 5, back to G major 7. Those are the 7 chords in that particular scale. Now what Barry does is he adds a note to the scale. So he adds, we'll take the major scale that we just did, except we're going to add a flat 6 to it. So now we have this. So again, it's the major scale, but with a flat 6 added. Now what that does to the chords is it changes everything. Now the first chord is a G6. The second chord is a diminished, an A diminished. The third chord, another inversion of the G6. The next chord, another inversion of diminished. Next chord, another G6. Next chord, diminished. Next chord, another G6, which yes happens to be E minor 7. Next chord is diminished. Then back to G6 again. Okay, so that's his first scale of chords. The second scale of chords is exactly that, except making it minor, which means you just have to flat the third. So now you have this. So now that scale of chords gives you these chords. First one's G minor 6. Once again the diminished. Minor 6. Once again diminished. Minor 6. Once again diminished. Minor 6, which is E minor 7 flat 5. Remember that. Once again diminished. Back to minor 6. Anyway, that's G minor 6. The third scale of chords is G7 or G dominant diminished. So here's our So now, if we're going to play the chords to it, we're going to have a G7. There's that same diminished again. G7, same diminished as we've done the previous two. G7, same diminished. G7, same diminished. G7. Okay, and the last one is going to be G7 flat 5, or G dominant with a flat 5th diminished. So we're going to change one note of the previous one, and now we're going to make this the scale. Okay, so here are the chords. G7 flat 5, that same diminished again that we've used for the 3 previous. G7 flat 5, same diminished. G7 flat 5, same diminished. G7 flat 5, same diminished. Back to G7 flat 5. Anyway, that's his 4 scales of chords that he tells everybody that's what you need to work on your instrument. Now there's a lot of videos where they talk about just primarily the major 6 and minor 6. And I'm kind of at fault of that too. I really work on those two mostly, but the dominant diminished and the dominant 7 flat 5 are really important also. So practice those also. But now that's chording wise. Single note wise, there's a lot of things that you can practice on just the single notes. So for instance, the things that we worked on in a previous episode for B flat major scale, we can do all those same things with any of those 6 scales. So let's just take, for instance, since we haven't done anything minor, let's do G minor 6. So here's the scale. Which again, the scale only consists of a G minor 6 and then a diminished. And when you put those two sets of notes together, you have a G minor 6 diminished. Okay, so again, we're going to practice this and we're going to play this instead of his other scales, which only go up to the 7. Since this is an 8-note scale, we're going to play these scales up to a tonic. So anyway, you're going to try to practice it like this maybe. Playing the scale up and down. Okay. Then we have to be able to play that scale in thirds. Now what's interesting about thirds for this, remember thirds is play a note, skip a note, play a note. So what's interesting about this scale is we're going to have a spot between 5 and 6 where we have a note in between that flat 6, which means our third is actually only going to be a second. I'll show you what I mean. So here's the first one, second one, third, next one. Now here comes that second. Okay, so now that's thirds. Let's do triads. Triads are 3 notes. So play a note, skip a note, play a note, skip a note, play a note. So let's try that. And maybe let's go back and repeat that middle note. I'll start the second one, which is also diminished. Let's do the third one, which is back to G minor 6 again. And then we'll go to the diminished again. Now the minor 6. Diminished. Minor 6 again. Diminished. Back to E minor 6. So now we did scale up and down, thirds, triads. Now we should do chords, which is 4 notes. Starting on a note, skipping a second note, playing the third note, skipping the fourth note, playing the fifth note, skipping the sixth note, playing the seventh note. So now it would sound like this. Here's a chord. That's G minor 6. Next one is a diminished. Next one is another inversion of the minor 6. Next one is another inversion of diminished. Another inversion of minor 6. Another inversion of diminished. Another inversion of minor 6. Another inversion of diminished. And back to minor 6 again. And those are pretty coming down too. So a nice way to practice that sometimes is to go up the first one, go down the second one. Let's see. And then we'll go down this one. Those are pretty ways to practice it. Anyway, so you're going to do the same things for the major 6, the same things for the dominant 7, the same thing for the dominant 7 flat 5. Practice that scale like that. And again, on guitar, you have to know it here, 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 all the different places that you can play your scale. You know, start off with one spot first and get comfortable with it. Now, this works for any minor tune. Any tune that you're playing in minor or any tune that starts on the 6th chord, this works. This is all the stuff that Barry plays. If you check out any of his recordings, these are the things that he's going to be playing. Again, that's one of the beautiful things about his teaching, is that if you go out and check his recordings out, it's exactly what you're going to find. If you transcribe everything, he doesn't keep anything a secret. He lets you know everything that he's thinking about. So anyway, I hope this was helpful for Barry's 4 scales of chords. I think the next episode I'm going to work on, we're going to go back to the blues, and I think maybe we'll just talk about the first 4 bars of the blues, which are kind of important. But anyway, I hope this was helpful. Please leave a comment or a suggestion down below, or even a criticism is fine. And yeah, enjoy practicing your 4 scales of chords. Thanks.